From Arizona to Washington and all the way to Georgia, welcome back to the Coast to Coast Catch Up. My name is Cannon Griner, along with my co host Abe Elmore. We're just two childhood friends who grew up together, chased sports dreams, and now have big boy jobs on the opposite sides of the country. We created this podcast to catch up, unpack real life, and share the ride with you. From deep conversations to lessons we're still learning, laughs to life pivots, it's the kind of catch up everyone needs. Let's get into it. Well, Abe and I created this pod not only to catch up among the two of us, but to catch up with others. Today, we're excited to have on a very special guest. This is a man who is a natural leader. He was a college football captain for 4 years. He's chiseled like a marble Greek god statue and hairless like one too. He's an incredibly hard worker, and whether he knows it or not, he's pushed me to become the person I am now. Throughout our college careers, this guy and I were basically attached at the hip. Now we live 1,700 miles away from each other, and it's time for a well-needed catch-up. Mason, welcome to the Coast to Coast Catch-Up.
Thanks, boys. And hairless is right. Some things don't change.
Mason, we are so pumped. I can speak for Canada in this. We're so pumped to have you here. Man, it feels like I've known you for a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, I've known you really for just since college. But can you please introduce yourself? Tell us what events led you to meet Cannon, and what have you been up to since?
Yeah, so I met Cannon. We went to the same college, played football together, like you said. I think one of the first days of fall camp our freshman year, he broke my finger throwing a ball at me. Cannon's not just the name. And yeah, we started playing Madden together in the dorms and just kept hanging out after that. So it was a cool way to come together with somebody that lives or is from so far away from where I'm from. But yeah, definitely a relationship that'll stick around.
Other than a broken finger, what was your first thought at Cannon, meeting Cannon? Was it love at first sight, or was it like, oh, this stupid guy broke my finger? Or, how did the bromance start?
It wasn't like right away I didn't see and acknowledge like the quirkiness that we both love Cannon for now. Like some of the things, eating the frozen peas, I didn't get to see that for a while. But we just hung out a bunch. I felt like we were two guys that we connected a lot over our love of football. And even on a college team, I think you learn pretty quickly that some guys love it more. And I think we both loved it a lot and we're pretty dedicated to it. So we connected over that. And then we connected over all of the other things later on the road once we became a lot closer.
Cannon, was it love at first sight for you?
Love at first sight, man. That golden skin and hairless legs, couldn't keep myself away from them. No, yeah, like Mason said, we hit it off right away. Both very, very in love with the game and what it takes to be good at football. And so I think that just kind of sparked that relationship, and we kind of, continued to find more things that we had in common somehow. We're very, very similar in a lot of things, and not even just our height, weight, but like we could both, I don't know, do dumb things like solve a Rubik's Cube. We could rip a chess game, like just multiple levels of like, okay, well, we kind of have a weird dynamic where it's just, we're very similar in a lot of aspects. And even though we don't necessarily know each other too well yet, you can tell that it's like, it's going to stick around, and this is going to be a lifelong friend of mine. So yeah, that's how I felt, at least.
That's so good. Mason, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you remember the first time you met me?
First time, did I come down to Winona the first time? Or no, you came to Stout the first time? I can't remember. I honestly can't.
Okay. Well, I remember. I remember very distinctly. You guys had those, what I thought were cool dorms, and I went to go hang out with with Cannon when he was living with Andrew. And I showed up, and Ken's like, all right, like, we're gonna go hang out. And we went to your guys', I think it was you and Foss were roommates. You guys were just playing Madden on like the top bunk. And I haven't played Madden like just probably 8 years to that moment. And you're like, all right, like, play Mason. And I was like, oh crap. But then, I think after that night, I was like, oh man, these dudes are really cool. And I think that night ended with us watching Trailer Park Boys late at night, getting a pizza. And I remember like yelling at you not to fall asleep to go get that pizza. But Yeah, I had to think about it. I kind of forgot about that moment, but I remember going to your dorm and just playing Madden for like 2 hours before we went to the cafeteria or whatever. We went and did stuff after, but and then yeah, from there I just felt like I feel like we became pretty good friends pretty shortly after. But yeah, I feel like I have a lot of memories with both of you guys. I can't really think of time where I was with Mason and without Canada or vice versa. I always loved coming out to Menominee and yeah, some of my finest college times are hanging out with you guys up there. So um, super stoked that you're here, and would love to hear what's been Mason's life, man. Like, catch up. I think the last time I called you was months ago, but what have you been up to and how's life?
Yeah, before I get to life, now that I'm remembering what time was the first time that you came, I think you're leaving out a crucial piece of information from that trip. Before we watched Trailer Park Boys, we're on our way back up to the dorm room, and we were both picking up all of Cannon's clothes as he was throwing them through the lobby of the dorm, ripping them off his body. We had so many good memories in college. They're really some of my best. Like the times where we were able to go down and see you, and when you were up by us, both were just some of the best times in college. So very appreciative of that, but I couldn't let that one go, Cannon. I'm sorry.
Always a good time among the three of us, but that we've had a lot of good times. I kind of want to more get into what you're doing now, Mason. It's been a while since all of us have gotten together and had a good collaboration of the mind. And what's going through your mind lately? What have you been up to? What's going on at 26 now for Mason Priebe?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think my directly after college life was a little bit different than most as I was graduating. I think it was the day I was supposed to have my last student teaching. I went for special ed and it was my last day of student teaching. My daughter was born. So that definitely put me on a different track just post graduation. I was worried about fatherhood and doing all those things. So since then, I taught for a couple years and decided that I wanted to go a different direction. So now I'm selling plumbing stuff. I sell drains and all that exciting plumbing stuff that people need. Been enjoying that a lot. I was on the east side of Wisconsin, so there's a big lake over there that I lived close to, Lake Winnebago. I don't know if the target demographic of this podcast is going to have any idea where Menasha or Appleton or any of the Wisconsin cities are, but I moved from the east side to the west side. Haley and I, which is Jersey, our daughter's mother, were not together right when Jersey was born, but we had gotten back together. So I moved over here to be with both of them all the time instead of splitting time. That's been the biggest blessing. Get to see my daughter every single day, which is amazing. And then also growing a relationship with Haley has been fantastic, and growing it to the point where 3 days ago now, I popped the question. We're engaged, so that's pretty exciting stuff. And then, yeah,
Let's
thank you.
go! Pump for you, man. That's awesome. Sorry, continue.
I appreciate it. So that's pretty fun. Getting to do. I mean, Haley's already trying to jump into the wedding planning and all of that. Cannon, you know how that is. So I'll probably have to call you to ask some questions to figure out, hey, what's the smartest way to do some of these things? Because I have no idea, obviously, never gone through it. But then the day after, did another permanent thing and got a big tattoo that I wanted for a while. So that's been fun. This last week has been super permanent.
Nice, man. A memorable week. That's awesome. So let's hear the story. How this proposal go down? What were some hiccups you had? What was the thought process there? How'd that go?
Yeah, so I was originally going to do it. We have a family vacation coming up. Haley's coming with me, my parents, and my sister to Cabo, and I was going to do it there on the beach. But I just kept thinking about it. I'm like, what am I waiting for? Like, why do I need to push it out another 3 months when we're living together? We have a child together. Let's just make this thing happen. So I decided on going to a Christmas tree farm. She always had artificial trees growing up, and I was a natural tree guy, so I thought it would be fun to take her there for the first time. kind of cool scenery. Like I know the girls think a lot about the pictures, so I figured there'd be decent pictures there. But I had my work Christmas party on Friday, so I had to fly out to Detroit for that. So I had to do the planning and the setup on Thursday, which was a little interesting. So I went out to the Christmas tree farm and I set up like a little ornament in there that, because Jersey was a part of it, that said, "Mommy, please say yes," with just like a ring on it and stuff. And I set it in the tree and I was just praying that it didn't get rained on or something and fade or get
No
lost.
way.
So yeah, I was freaking out a little bit. Then when we got there, I knew obviously the general area that I put it, but finding the exact tree when they all looked the same was kind of difficult. So I was like walking through the aisles, looking at all the trees a little bit too closely, till finally I found the one, and then I told Jersey to go up to it, and she found the little ornament and showed Haley, and I got down on the knee and did the thing.
Hands down, the most I'm stressed thinking about. I know everything went smoothly, but probably the most stressful thing I could think of as far as a proposal goes. Man, first of all, awesome. Congratulations for first minute. Congratulations. But dude, I don't know if you let the ring, overnight, multiple days on a tree. No.
No, not
Okay.
not the ring. It was just an
God.
ornament. It had a drawing. I drew it, which, if you know my
Okay.
drawing skills, it didn't look great, but just a drawing of a ring. I was not trusting other people with that.
Yeah, that sounds even just an ornament. I'm like, dude, this sounds stressful, dude. But hey, that's awesome. I'm so pumped for you. Was Haley kind of like nudging you to ask a question? Did it feel natural to you ask the question? Like, did she never even mention it before? Did you get a ring size properly? Like what were the moments leading up? You're like, all right, I need to do it now. She's the one. Obviously she's the mother of your kid, but what kind of went into that process?
Yeah. So, like I said, there's a little period where we weren't together. We dated in college, and it was around the time, like the 9 month mark of a relationship, where kind of the honeymoon phase wears off, and you start to question things a little bit. Like you start to get into a few arguments, and then I heard that Jersey was coming, and I freaked out. Obviously, was a little bit nervous, and then the thought popped into my head, like, I don't want to like just be with somebody because we have a child coming. I didn't think that was fair, to have a child and then see a relationship that wasn't built on love, that it was built on, well, we have a kid together. Um, so looking back, it was definitely a mistake. I regret that, but I think that it all worked out the way that it was supposed to. Fast forward, it was like a year. I called her on the phone and I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry to do this to you. I know this is totally out of the blue. You're over me, whatever, but I really don't think that I can not just say my piece and say that I still care about you, and I would love to see if things could work." So after she got over that, and like obviously that comes with some frustration because um, this guy just calls you out of the blue and is like, "Hey, can we try this again?" So after the frustration wore off, she's like, "Yeah, let's give it a shot." Things worked out, and once we were living with each other for maybe a couple of months, I realized that I love the life that we have together. That obviously I love her. It was like, okay, well, we have a kid. We want to have more kids. I don't think this needs to be like a 2 3 year long dating process. So we kind of had that conversation, and it was like, yeah, we don't want to be dating forever. Um, and then once it got a little bit closer, I had talked about the idea, and we'd gotten out a string and measured her finger with a string. And based on the circumference, it gave her a size 11. And Abe, you don't know what a size 11 is? Cannon knows that would probably fit around a woman's thumb. So I bought this ring, and you had to pay like a $500 extra charge because it was such a big size. And 2 3 days after I bought the ring, we're walking through a random store, and she goes to like the cheap jewelry section, tries on a ring, and it was size 8 and it fit her. And I just panicked. I freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I couldn't hold my composure. She could just see that my face went white. I'm like, we got to go like get you actually sized. So we got her sized. Size 8 was correct, not size 11. And after that, I think that she was a little bit suspicious anytime I plan an event. So like we went on a date a couple of weeks ago, and come to find out now, she thought maybe it would happen there. So I don't think there was any way to like fully surprise her. But it was enough. She had still kind of thought maybe vacation, that I got a little bit of a surprise out of her, and it went well. So I'm pretty happy with how it all worked.
I'm sure she's should be snuffed out. I'm sure Haley snuffed out at the trees when you were trying to figure out what damn tree the thing was on. She's like, all right, man, something's up. And then going back to the ring size, I do know that 11 is probably way too big for anyone. And I was talking to CJ about this Friday, because I asked him about his ring with Delaney. And my plan in the way distant future is just you can get a ring like size chart where like you literally just try it, like it's like a bunch of like plastic rings that you just try on and it tells you the size. I'm just gonna get one of those for like $5 and then all night just see, just start going through all the sizes and seeing which one's the exact size. You guys use your string, use whatever you want, but that's just my 2 cents. But
you think that works? I did that with Alyssa, and you have to be weary of the thickness of it, because if it's more thick, it has more friction on your finger, so it's harder to get on and off. Whereas when I actually went and got her ring, it wasn't as thick as that trial thing we had. And so she ended up getting quite a bit smaller of a size than when we went and got it fitted. So be wary of that. The things you learn
there
about
goes my plan.
metal and rocks and stuff when you like somebody. It's funny.
Haley's she has to do the same thing because it's pretty loose now that we got sized, but they were all thick bands, like a man's wedding band, basically that thickness, and it's a pretty petite band that she has. So she's doing the same.
Right. Talking back, do you feel that, or did Haley express that she knew that it was coming, or was it a complete surprise? She knew.
She definitely knew it was coming. We had talked about it. I think with our unique situation, having a child, just where we were at with our relationship, we've been pretty transparent about everything. And I know she's always wanted a ton of kids. I've come around to the idea. I like the idea of a lot of kids now. So knowing that we want our next kid to be after we're married, and we don't really want Jersey to be way, way older than the rest of the kids. So we had talked about it. She knew it was coming.
I more meant at the Christmas tree factory. Did she expect it there, or was it still caught her off guard?
She definitely expected it. I saw her checking her makeup a little bit more in the window of the truck before she walked out. I'm like, oh shoot, she's on to me. But that's right. It was enough. She didn't think that's how I was gonna do it, I guess. But once we were there, and I also, side note, her sister started like a photography thing a little bit ago. So I was texting her. I'm like, hey, you have to tell Haley, like, hey, can I come and take family pictures for you guys when you're doing the tree? So I'm sure that tipped her off a little bit too. Like, hey, why does my sister want to take pictures right now? I've already taken three different photo shoots for him this summer. So there were definitely some tips, and Haley's pretty smart. I feel like all girls are detectives and they catch on to that stuff so fast.
Yeah, it's tough. And that's probably good for Haley. You're not very good at hiding things. You don't you don't want your partner to be good at hiding things. So no, that's awesome though. Happy for you guys. Happy that, she said yes. And you guys can be one big happy family now. How has the transition of moving, you lived on your own in college, or I guess with a lot of guys, and now you're, living with a girl with a kid. How has that transition been for you?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, the way you live in college, like, not saying that we're all bad people in college, but you live selfishly. All you're thinking about is, okay, did I do my dishes? Did I do my laundry? Like, you're only thinking about yourself because that's the only person that you have to fully take care of. But then living with your significant other and then a child too, obviously your own stuff gets pushed to the side a little bit more, and you're thinking about, okay, well, am I feeding my daughter? Am I feeding Haley? Like all of those things. It's a lot different. And then just like getting to know the way Haley lives. Like girls live different than guys. So living in the college house, or messes everywhere and things were much different, and girls like things a certain way. There's definitely things that you have to learn. Ken and I talked about this a while ago on the phone, that you just kind of pick up things as you go and you keep learning, and it makes living together a lot smoother. Because yeah, guys and girls have very different brains.
That's awesome. What has been the biggest success for you, whether it's been a learning lesson or whatever? It can be as small as like a little tidbit. But what's been the biggest thing you've learned living with Haley specifically? And then have you enjoyed, like, obviously I'm sure you're enjoying with living with Haley in Jersey, but have you noticed a lot of changes in yourself being all together as one coherent group?
Yeah, I think specifically with Haley, I'm just like you guys. I'm a very competitive person. So before you live with a person, when you have a disagreement on something, it's like, oh, well, I want to prove that I'm right. But that mindset has to shift so quickly when you live with somebody or when you have a significant other for a long time, because being right doesn't really solve any problems. Like you want to come to the middle ground, even if you really feel like you're right in your heart, or you feel like the way that you do something dumb, like folding the laundry or something like that, is the right way to do it. It doesn't really matter as long as you can come to an agreement and it works for both of you guys. So I think that's something, just as a competitive person, arguments I always thought were supposed to be won, but that definitely changes. But yeah, I'd say that's the big one right off the bat.
Yeah, a lot of marriage counseling can be solved with that that one little nugget. It's not one versus one. It's always us versus whatever the situation is. Um, and then, dude, talk to me. I mean, I was so excited for this podcast. One, because I love you, Mason. But two, you're one of our few friends that do have a young child, and Ken and I do not. So I'd love to hear what that process has been like. If you don't want to talk about your daughter, which I'm sure is probably a lie, I'm sure you'd love to keep talking about your daughter. But what's some advice that you can give Cannon and I, and we'll kind of start there.
Well, all the cliches are right. Like it's hard to talk about your kids without it like just sounding like the cookie cutter answers that you heard from your parents when you were growing up, that it's just the best thing ever and all of that. Like it is true. As a boy, you always want to have a boy. Like that's just how we're built, because we want to have a kid that we can teach golf or football to, and do all of your little things. But then as soon as Jersey was born, like being a girl dad, I think is the coolest thing ever. And I still want a boy someday, but having Jersey, like I wouldn't obviously trade her for a boy any day. Like I'm so glad that she is a girl. Being a girl dad definitely brings things out in yourself. I feel like too, you learn a lot of things and you think about things different as a girl dad. Um, but yeah, it's just a whole different world. There's a lot more that just goes into everything. Like you think about, like Haley coaches a basketball team, so it'll be a game night and it's like, oh well, I can't just get done with work and head over to the game. It's get done with work, get myself ready, get Jersey ready, get some food, all the things that you can usually kind of skip out on as a guy. Like it doesn't really matter if I get ready before a game, it doesn't matter if I eat before or after the game. You just have to think things through a lot more and plan a lot more, which isn't really my forte. I'm not much of a planner. But yeah, there's a lot more thought that goes into it. I guess advice wise though, I don't think that anybody can be perfect or perfectly organized. Like when you have a kid, don't get caught up on like, hey, it's a mess right now. Like just enjoy the moment. And yeah, you're going to live in a mess for a little while. Like there's just no avoiding it, because as soon as you put something away, she's going to grab it. Right now, mine is her big thing. So she's going to say, no, mine, and take it right back out and put it where it was laying on the ground. So if you just kind of get past those things where, like, yeah, you want things a certain way, but if you can just kind of put those things aside and enjoy the time and just be present with them, I feel like that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a good one. Uh, Obviously, I I had little siblings, so I kind of remember that, but it's been forever since I've been around little kids that I, truly care about. So it's exciting for you. Where is she in her life? Is she talking? Is she reading? Where is she in the timeline of, growing up?
Yeah, she's talking. She's running around. Her one word, so like just the way the vocab development works and her speech development, like it starts with one word things. So obviously every kid starts with like mama or dada and then kind of builds up from there. And basketball was one of her first words. Didn't sound like basketball, but it was, I forget how it was like baball. Baball was one of her first words, having mom around being a coach. But some of those one words have turned into little phrases, which has been really fun. She always comes in the house like after she gets back from daycare and she'll just scream, Dada! And I'm working. I work for another hour after they get home. So usually she comes over, gives me a hug, and then they go off and do their thing. But I usually yell back, Jersey! And the other day for the first time, she's like, what? Like, she was so confused why I yelled Jersey back at her. And you can just sort of start to see the different things clicking in her brain. Like, oh, typically when I yell Jersey, when it's not that one situation, it's like, oh, I want something, or I want her to come over here. I want, like, whatever it is. So you can see her start to comprehend new things every day. That's been a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just little phrases so far. She's running around. She's really coordinated. Well, as coordinated as you can be for almost a 2-year-old. Yeah, big into sports, likes Elmo. That's kind of where she's at right now.
So cool. It's so cool to hear like these little things because one thing I've heard about kids is they're just so curious and incredibly comprehensive from what you would think. Have you noticed, is that true? Have you noticed that to be true where it's like, how is this kid understanding this? Or wow, like Jersey's like extremely curious about anything and anything and everything, right? Is that said to be true?
Yeah, you see the curiosity a bit. It's hard to see it quite as much before they start asking the questions of why and things like that.
Yeah.
But you can still see it. Like if she sees something that she hasn't seen before, she has to go and check it out and feel it in her hands and all those things. But you can see really how much they watch everybody at this age. Like there'll be something that we've never done with her, but if she watched Haley or myself do it once, she'll start doing it, like just play doing it off by herself, and that's kind of cool. Like she saw Haley put something on her eyes, and then she's finding something that looks a little bit like that and doing the same thing over in the corner. So it's pretty funny the things that they see, and it makes you pretty cognizant. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do some of the things that I do because she's going to copy it. I kind of a funny story about that. One day she just randomly walked up behind mom and slapped her on the ass. And I was like, oh, where'd she learn that from? She's never gotten a spanking. She's never seen a spanking in that context. Like it was just like a thing she thought was okay to do. I'm like, well, not going to do that anymore. My bad.
Yeah, it's a tough one. No, that's fun, dude. You also have a dog. How have they been getting along? How's that going?
It's good. So Haley got the dog before we were together. He's still young. He's a German Shepherd mix, so he's got a ton of energy. So we did like a little puppy school thing with him because he was just out of hand. Like it was crazy. But he's really good with Jersey, so I'm really grateful for that. Like she can grab on him as much as she wants, and other than like a playful like kind of gnaw type thing, he'll never get aggressive with her, which is really nice. But yeah, he's fun. It's cool because my dream as a kid, I always had like fat lazy dogs. So my dream as a kid was always to have a dog that I could play catch with a football with. And I bought him a football right when I moved here, and he loves going in the backyard and just running, getting the football. And Haley and I made a game out of it where Jersey's swing in the backyard. We'll sit there and we'll throw the ball at the swing, and whoever hits it first gets whatever the prize is for the night. Which is kind of fun, like just making a game out of it and finally having that dog that I can play football with because Jersey's not playing catch with me yet.
Still working on that one.
Yeah.
Dude, you got airbud. Is your dog running routes yet? Like, are you calling plays to this dog, and is he lining up, lining up the ref, making sure that he's getting off the ball quick, or? I mean, I expect nothing less from Mason Priebe's kid.
Yeah, he's still got to work on it. He forgets that he can't be on the line of scrimmage all the time. If there's a tight end in the play, he's got to be off the ball. Otherwise, he's making the tight end ineligible. So we've been working on that part, but he's getting there.
Also, real quick too, I know I mentioned to Mason the other day, but I just want to signify how confident I am with this and how serious I am. But next summer or summer after, when Jersey's able to swing a golf club, I'll be up there for lessons. So I'm excited for that. There's a lot of money in college golf scholarships, and I want to make sure that Jersey has that option if she chooses to. I'm not forcing anything on her, but some summer golf in Wisconsin sounds pretty fun for the four of us. So just want to put that out there.
I did hear that scholarship is the one that's left on the table most often. Like most scholarship dollars are wasted on that, so it's the easiest scholarship to get. It's what I've heard. All of those female college golfers out there, they can correct me. My bad. But if that's the case, it would be a good thing to have a good swing coach in you, Abe.
She's got good genes too. She's got some athletic genes. So I think with her athletic genes and then my golf knowledge, Wisconsin's a pretty good state for golf. I have no worries that, again, we just want her to enjoy the sport of golf. But if she so happens to get a scholarship, I think a lot of that money should go back to me. But we can discuss that later. But no, and going back to your comments, you feel like you've learned a lot specifically from being a girl dad. What have been some of those things?
I think for me, the biggest one is, like, I never thought of this way. Like, I have a sister and never thought that my dad thought this way, but he definitely does. And I think it's everybody who has a girl, every man who has a daughter, starts to realize that the way that you treat a woman is what she's going to expect in a man someday. And I feel like that was like the biggest thing for me. Like, that's my biggest responsibility as a man, like showing her exactly what she deserves someday. Because like the worst thing that can happen for any man is their daughter ends up with some jerk, like that doesn't treat her well, that doesn't treat her the way that she should be treated. So I think that's one of the big things. But a lot of patience comes with it too. A lot more. I'm sure once she hits puberty, not even wanting to think about that right now, because I remember how my sister was when she got to that age. So I think there's a lot of patience that comes with being a girl dad. But for me, it was just, how I think about my role as a girl dad. I didn't realize that there really was specific ones, but there definitely is.
Yeah. I got another question. Just being a dad, what kind of parent do you find yourself being? You said you mentioned patience. Are you a patient parent? Are you what?
Yeah, I feel bad for Kobe because my extended patience for Jersey sometimes comes out as lack of patience for the dog. Because I am pretty patient as a dad. I feel like I'm usually a pretty patient person in general, but every once in a while when it gets a little bit thin, it usually ends up being Kobe that gets the brunt of it. Not in a terrible way. Don't worry, I'm not beating my dog or anything like that, but he definitely gets the brunt of it because I am pretty patient with her.
There's a lot of words I would describe Mason with. I don't think patient would have been one of them. I've been fishing with him, and we do not hang out at holes very long. We're not catching fish. We're moving to the next spot. So it's funny. Maybe you've changed since I met you, or whatnot. Jersey must have done something to that brain of yours.
Hey, that's not being impatient. That's just being a good fisherman. If there's not fish at the spot, you better move.
Obviously. So before you were co-parenting, I'm sure that was hard. I know that your parents and we're kind of helping you with that, but since moving back in, can you kind of talk about the different characteristics that you maybe pick up the weight a little bit more, and then Haley vice versa. Like how are you guys able to now tag team raise in Jersey now, right? Rather when you kind of just, all right, like she's at Mason's this week and she's at Haley's this week. Talk about that struggle of coming together, and I know you talked about like learning things of living with Haley, but as a parent, what are you guys doing differently?
Yeah, I think responsibility wise, it totally depends on the season. Like I said, she's the coach. So right now it's picking up the slack for her. Before that, it was me just hopping into a new job. So she's picking up the slack for me. I don't think we have super defined roles in that, like, she's always the one cooking or I'm always the one doing this. But it definitely, depends on the season. Or we're both similar. We're like, we'll go. And then there'll just be a day where it's like, oh my goodness, like you're just exhausted. You're just going to kind of veg out. And I mean, you can't do that quite as much with a kid, but on those days where you can tell the other was a little bit more overwhelmed, trying to pick up some of that slack. And that definitely takes a learning curve and being able to tell when the other person's having those days. But I think it's more that way. But when it comes to like how we parent differently, I wouldn't have expected it, but she's definitely more of like the super playful, like roughhousing one. And I'm definitely a little bit more gentle and protective and nervous. Not nervous, like I like her to try new things, but like I'm definitely not as much of a roughhouser, I guess is what I'm trying to say, which I totally expected the opposite.
Yeah, I'd say that's definitely backwards of what most parenting styles are that I know at least. So yeah, that's funny how just you don't know how you're gonna react to situations till you're in them, and just that alone expresses that.
Who does more diapers? I want to know. Is that even? Is that 50-50?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty close.
Okay. What's next stage? Again, I don't know how kids develop at all. What's the next stage? So she's formulating, words and almost sentences now. She's walking, she's probably running. Like, is swimming next? Is it like, is she fully potty trained now? Like, I don't even know when you're supposed to be fully potty trained. Like, what are the next steps in Jersey's life that are career milestones?
So potty training, we're on the cusp of it. I actually just got a text as we were talking that she just pooped on the toilet downstairs, so that's a big win.
On the toilet or in the toilet?
Oh, never mind. Pooped in the bath. Haley just came up here to let me know that. So not as much of a win as I expected it to be. Yeah, sorry guys.
Get out of her room, bro.
She's in the right room at least.
Yeah, she's getting there. So we can restart that one. Sorry,
seems like diaper duty. It sounds like you're one down of diaper duty right now.
Oh, I most definitely am. Yeah. And in the tub, that's not a great one to clean up. Been there before. Not a fun one. So she is working on the potty training thing. Like, she's gotten a lot better. Yesterday, she came home from daycare with the same pull-up that she went with. So we're getting there. She goes on the toilet quite often, but obviously, like the bath just showed, every once in a while we still have our accidents. So I'd say that's the next big one, getting fully potty trained. And then I think the vocabulary development is just very fluid. Like, it'll slowly start to turn from little phrases to full sentences, and having more comprehension with them and not just like saying them to say them. So I'm excited for some of that when we can have more real conversation. Right now, I can ask her how her day at daycare was, and she'll say good every time. And then I'll ask her if she played with her friends, and she'll say yes and name them. But I'm excited for when she starts to tell me like what they did and get more into those things.
Yeah, that'll be an exciting time when that, it's all exciting, right? It just seems to, one thing goes away, but then two more things come, and it's been fun to see her grow up, and I haven't even really been a part of it, but I see her post every once in a while, and it's funny to just, it doesn't feel like too long has passed for me, and then you look at your daughter, and it's like, wow, she's her own person now. She has like cognitive ability, and she's starting to pick up on things. She's running around, so very, very cool to see that. But we've talked about your kind of surrounding life, your what you're up to, and obviously Haley and Jersey take up probably most of that. But let's talk about Mason for a bit. What has been on your mind lately? I know hunting season is just finished up. You mentioned the tattoo earlier. What else is going through your mind or at this time?
Yeah, this was the first fall that I didn't have football. So after I got done playing, last year when you were playing overseas, I was coaching a high school team over here, helping coach. So I still kind of scratched the football itch. But this year, moving, taking on a new job, I decided not to coach, and I just filled kind of all of that with hunting. And that passion definitely, it was there already, but it grew a lot. So that's been on my mind a ton. I still do like golf. I am very incompetent in comparison to Abe, obviously, but I enjoy golf and I try to get better at it, but I'm struggling with that. I think the game definitely got worse this year. Having Jersey, you can't get out quite as much as you want to, but I'd say those are my two big hobbies that I focus on for the most part.
Have you been able to? I know you said that your game got worse, and obviously you have a kid now, but like it, a lot of people like us that play college sports, they get done. You know, I mean, like that stat of like there's like 2% of college athletes going to like the pros, right? So you have this pool of 98% of college athletes that, you know, kind of have a void of stuff, right? There, you know, there's nothing. They've had this one thing for all their life, and then now it's kind of gone. And that's why you see a lot of people gravitate to golf, right? Golf is, as you guys probably both know, it's one of the most frustrating, but also like mentally inducing things where you're like, man, I really want to do this again. And it's a great challenge to kind of channel, you know, bettering yourself, the competitiveness of it. You know, now you're not in a team, it's more individualized, but you can kind of channel that into golf. Do you feel like that's kind of became a thing? And have you seen that amongst, you know, a lot of your teammates and maybe still up in the Midwest, or have you just enjoyed golf just in general, you know, the same level, whether you were in college and out of college?
I think I enjoyed it pretty much to the same level in and out of college. I've seen that with other people having a growing interest after they're done with sports, kind of to fill that void. But having Jersey, it went from football taking up all my time to now spending all my time with Jersey. So I didn't have quite the void time wise. Competitiveness wise, I definitely still have that void, and I'm trying to figure out how I can fill that because it drives me nuts not having that thing that pushed me to be better in my health with just everything that I was doing so I could get better and just win, I guess. Like I don't have that same thing. I'm not good enough at golf to I love it, but I'm just not very competitive because I'm just not good.
You mentioned your health and obviously with football that, you know, that was constantly weights, I was watching what you're eating, all that. Do you find without football that has fallen off a cliff? You're not doing anything now, or are you still trying to maintain some sort of slim figure?
Yeah, I'm still trying to keep the dad bod from coming. It definitely is a lot harder to be motivated to go to the gym. Not having a game that I'm focusing on, or having a team that kind of motivates you to like get better for the rest of them too. But I still go to the gym a couple days a week. I go and I help out with Haley's team a lot, so I'll go play defense for them, and that gets me running around a little bit, which is fun. But it's definitely not to the same level that I used to do, and I kind of miss that.
When you go help out with these girls, are you taking it easy on them? Are you swatting everything that they put in front of you? How does this go down?
Like most things I do, I let Haley tell me what to do, and I do that. So
You
sometimes
have changed.
So much. He's grown.
No, I went in and like I started by blocking every shot, and then she's like, "Okay, well, if it's a good shot that they can get off against a girl, you probably shouldn't block it." So it kind of depends on the player too. Some of them are more athletic, and it pushes them to have somebody who can be more athletic than them guard them. Like they're just not used to it. They're used to jumping out of the gym in comparison to everybody else. So I'll push them in that way, but other girls, it's just being a warm body out there. Like I'm not really doing that much. But it's fun. It's fun for me. It still scratches my coaching itch a little bit because I can talk with Haley. I know the girls. I know kind of how they are as players, and I don't know anything about basketball, but I understand team dynamics. So I feel like I can help her a decent amount because she's got to spend a lot of her time thinking about X's and O's. I can be like, hey, like I noticed this girl's feeling this way. You should probably say something to her. Like, you can pretty good with the body language thing. So if I catch something, then I can talk with Haley about it, and that's fun for me.
More of an emotional coach. That's shocking. I mean, not because it's basketball, but just yeah, that's a good spot to fill
Yeah,
How
Cannon, I've always been a big culture guy when it came to sports,
for
so
sure.
that's kind of more my focus. Like, I took the stout juice thing, and as corny and as dumb as it is, they were a team that lacked energy completely. So I kind of brought that in and like give out an award every week for who brings the most juice, and I think that's fun, focusing on just the team things, not as much the X's and O's or the performance.
Yeah, that's cool. Go ahead, Abe.
whatever, Captain Power. How cool has it been to see, like, I mean, obviously Haley played basketball, and just to see her in her element, for you to participate in that as much as you can, and then even like, I mean, it's almost like a family event. I imagine that you bring a jersey to practices and games, and really, this season of you, right, it is centered around kind of Haley and coaching and the team, and how fun is that? And again, it's now kind of shifted where before it was like, all right, fall, we're watching Mason play football, we're doing tailgating, it's all about Mason and Stout, and to kind of flip that switch, and it's like, all right, like basketball season, it's Haley, like I'm gonna pick everything up, pick up the slack with Jersey, and kind of just enjoy that family dynamic in the gym. That's got to be so much fun.
It's a ton of fun, and I think I have a lot of respect and admiration for it because I did want to pursue coaching. Like, I went through the application process and the interview process for a high school head job, and like kind of looked into and tried to be what it takes to do that for a while. So then being able to see the person that I care about doing all of those things is pretty cool. And then also it's awesome, like, just having a relationship with the team, because it is a total family thing. Like, if the girls aren't coming up to say hey to Jersey before a game, it's a pretty big surprise. Like, they always come, give her a high five, whatever it is, before they go out there. One of the girls threw a little foam ball to her when she got introduced this week. Like, that was pretty cool. And then they all came over and said congrats and nice job picking out the ring before they played last night. So, like, we definitely are all pretty close, which makes it really fun. It feels like we're all a part of it, even though it's definitely Haley's thing and we're there to support and cheer for her. But it's fun all being a part of it for sure.
That's awesome. Do you think you'll get back into coaching? Is it giving you that, you want to get back into it, or are you just, you're happy you just got a new job, you're going to focus on Jersey and the job for a bit?
Someday I'm going to be a hell of a girls flag football coach for Jersey. But I don't think I'll ever go back to the high school coaching or pursuing college or anything like that. I just think that time is too valuable with a family, and one, trying to make money for them, and two, just trying to spend as much time as you can with them, that I'd rather not spend it away from them. I love that with it being Haley's team, being a head coach, we can be incorporated in all that stuff. But if I go and I'm an assistant coach for somebody else, that's just time that I'm spending working with those guys. And as much as I love football and as much as I love coaching, I think it's more fun to be at home and be able to do those things. And you don't really make too much money as a coach either. So wanting to spend my time, if I am away from them, trying to make a little bit of money to be able to do the things that we want to do as a family.
Yeah. I mean, ever since we've, been friends, it seems like your plan was always to graduate Stout, go pursue coaching, and go do something, move out of Wisconsin and learn something new, travel around and go coaching. Is that a hard pill to swallow? Like, those words you just said, does that feel like anything inside of you is, falling away, or are you just excited for this next journey?
I think that I felt those feelings before Jersey was born. Like, I was like, oh man, now I can't pursue the coaching stuff that I want to pursue. Um, I had wanted to maybe try out the overseas thing like you did. Who knows if it would have worked out for me, but it was something that I was considering trying to do. And once I found out that we had a kid on the way, I kind of knew that, okay, well, I can't travel and do those things. I have to be kind of in one location. And I did feel some of those feelings. I felt like I was giving up on a dream, but as soon as she was born, like I coached last year, like I said, and it was instead of the typical like trying to spend all the extra time watching film and staying late and doing all the things that I used to do and love as a player, it was like, okay, we're done at 6. I'm literally running out as the coach was giving his end of practice speech, so I could get home and catch Jersey before she went to bed. And I feel like that experience just made me realize that, yeah, Jersey's not going to be a part of my coaching thing. Like, I, it's just too low on the totem pole. I still love football, but I don't love it as much as I love spending time with her or with Haley. And yeah, for the time investment, I just didn't think it was worth it anymore.
That's awesome, man. I'm sure that almost feels freeing to realize that about yourself, where it's like finally you have something you want to put your time into. And um I definitely feel like I'm chasing that right now. Like what do I want to pursue with my time? Obviously it was football for so long, and I don't necessarily have something to put my time towards like you have Jersey. So that's cool to hear. I'm super happy for you, and a part of me hurts for you because I know how important that was for you for so long. But to hear what you just said and how excited you are to go back and hang out with your family is pretty special. That's awesome, man. Happy for you.
But no, I mean, obviously we talked about a lot of things on here, Mason, and obviously I don't think really you probably ever imagined to be in the position that you are this early. But if you wouldn't mind, kind of tell us about, the struggles that maybe you're having now, and if are, no matter how big or small, and how kind of you're tackling, how you're thinking about them, and what's kind of something that's always come on the top of your head of like, oh man, like how do I get this solved, or how do I resolve this issue or stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the big thing I think about now is just finances and wanting to be able to take care of the family, and that's like at the end of the day, if that's my biggest problem, like I'm happy that it's that and it's not something with the family. Um, but like my goal is to someday to be able to make enough money and be smart enough with my money so Haley doesn't have to work and she can stay at home and homeschool and raise kids. I feel like if we want to have 4 or 5 kids, like sending them off to a teacher every day, that just kind of hurts. Like, oh, the teachers are raising them. I feel like at that point, and not saying it's wrong for other people to do that. That's just kind of the feeling that I get. So that's a big goal for me, is to be able to get her to a point where she doesn't have to work. So thinking about that on a daily basis of how that's going to work, career progression, what I need to be doing money wise. Cannon's way smarter with all that stuff than I am, but trying to figure out kind of what the steps are to get to that place and when it can happen. I think one of the big ones that's on the forefront of my brain.
Where do you think that comes from? Like, have you and Haley talked about like that's where your unit's going, or is that just like something that you've always kind of kept to yourself? Or and if it like if it is like where do you think that comes from?
I think a few places. It wasn't something when I was young that I ever thought of wanting to do. One, I did spend a year and a half teaching, and just kind of being in a public school. And there are so many great teachers, but then there are some where it's like, I don't really want my kids spending more time with that person than they're spending with me. Like there are way more good ones than bad, but it's like any profession. There are a few bad ones, and then to have your most valuable thing in your eyes go and spend the majority of their day with that person, that's kind of a tough pill for me to swallow. And then to be completely real, saw a few Instagram reels of families that were doing the homeschooling thing, and it just looked awesome. Like being able to do your family's gym class in a home gym and have your kids learn how to lift when they're really young, and not like you're pushing a bunch of weight on them, but just like seeing you guys work out and then kind of following suit, or being able to blend 2 classes and be like, all right, well, you go through this little gym class type like obstacle course, and then we have to do a spelling word or something like that. I think that the day in a public school isn't spent super efficiently. I think that you can get through the majority of that content within 3 hours if you're focused. So that leaves so much extra time to build in so much other learning of things that you're not really taught in a public school, like learning how to do things around the house and money things. But it also just gives you so much more quality time with whoever the teacher is, your mom or your dad. And I think that would be something pretty cool to be able to come home from work knowing, hey, I just spent a bunch of time away from my family, but at least that time was well spent with their mom instead of with somebody else.
I can totally see where you're at with, a lot of wasted time with school. I definitely felt it growing up. Like I would have mastered the multiplication. We still have, another month or two that we're working on it. However, I do feel that public schooling, you get a social aspect of it where you probably don't only have one teacher, you have multiple adults that are influencing the way you think and giving you different perspectives and kind of how you balance and mitigate interactions with your peers and stuff like that. And I think that's some of the valuable learning that comes from going to a public school. How do you feel, that you would supplement that with learning homeschooling?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That was something that I thought of a lot when we first kicked around this idea, and I say idea like it's already happening, but this future idea or this aspiration. And I think that if you're super intentional with it, like the adults through my childhood, teachers, whatever, the ones that had the biggest influence on my life were also coaches. And just because you're homeschooled doesn't mean that you can't play sports, you can't go out for the school play. Like all of those extracurriculars are open to the public and people who live in that school district. So you can still have your kids be super involved and get the social dynamic from the other kids and from the other adults. I just think like that time I never thought was a waste. Like time that I was at practice or the time that I was at a club or whatever it was, I felt like that was awesome and valuable. Not that school wasn't valuable at all, but like I said, I just don't think it was as efficient as it could be. So if you're intentional with keeping your kids involved and also throughout the day going out and having like mini field trips and going out into the community and doing things, volunteering, stuff like that, I think you can still get a lot of that social dynamic that you miss from being in the school.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Just, being involved in sports and stuff, you do learn a lot of um, social interaction in that aspect and, how to deal with conflict and all that. So yeah, definitely ways to supplement it, but it's a different way of thought, and it's a cool thought process to entertain, definitely.
Mason, I know we've talked about a lot about kind of like the future and ambitions, but do you want to put anything kind of set in stone over camera and hold yourself accountable to in the next year or two that say, hey, I really want to do this or that? I'll just put it out there. I've got to run an Ironman at like 30 years old. We're going to try to do that sooner than that. But, what do you got? Is there anything off the top of your head that you need Ken and I to help you keep accountability?
Abe, I don't think you realize that I'm an avid watcher. That I knew that you guys were running the Ironman, and I knew that you guys were running an Ironman before the end of the year. I'm your guys' biggest fan.
Well, appreciate that.
Goals, though, I think the big one that I think about often is the financial goal of getting to the point I don't want Jersey to get to second grade. Like I know that me being young, having her, I know that there's probably going to be a few years where she is going to have to go to a school, which is fine. Like I said, nothing wrong with it, but I really want to get to the point where Haley can stay home. And I kind of set second grade. I don't want her to have to go to first and or kindergarten, first grade, I think is kind of a little bit lofty, but that's kind of my big, like long-term goal. As far as I haven't thought of one by the end of the year. We're getting close to it. We're getting really close to it right now. Cannon, I just listened to the podcast that you guys put out today when we're recording, and I saw that you dunked. That's awesome. Did have to throw in there that I tried it the other day at practice and can still do it with a semi-flat women's ball, but I don't know if I can do it with a real ball. So getting back to
it's worth the same amount of points.
Yeah. I think a good short-term goal would be to get back to some of the strength metrics that I used to be able to hit. I want to be able to hit 315 on the clean and bench and get back to I don't know if I want to say 405. Screw it. I'll say 405 squat. If I can get to those even numbers, like I think that wouldn't be the end of this year. Obviously, that would probably have to be the end of next or midway through next. I think that's a good goal for myself because I have struggled with the motivation in the gym, like I said.
Yeah, those are good ones.
Interesting.
Let's dive into, what are the steps you're going to take to get into those? You say you don't want Jersey to go to second grade. What does that look like? Like what financial situation do you have to be in where you're like, all right, I feel comfortable with pulling her out of public school, letting Haley, be a teacher full time, an unpaid teacher full time.
Yeah. So the thought that I have is right now I had a few expenses with the ring and some trips and stuff like that didn't allow us to try this until maybe a couple months into the future. But I want to get to the point where we can live off of one of our incomes and just completely bank the other one. Bank/invest, do whatever we want to, whatever we think is smart to do with that extra money. And if we can do that for a few years and realize that we can live, I'm not saying that I need to make a crap ton of money. Like I think we can live below our means enough where we can make it work with not a ridiculous income. We just have to like practice living that way. So if we can get to, I think within the next year, I don't think it would be all of next year, but if we can get to a point within the next year that Haley's paycheck is completely just going into the bank and saving towards when we can get a house and for a down payment and stuff like that, it proves to us that we can live day to day off of one income. And then it's also setting us up towards being able to get out of the townhouse that we're in and get into something that I would be comfortable with her raising and teaching kids in.
Gotcha. Would you want to stay in the same area?
I'm pretty open. So our families are on opposite sides of the state. So I'd thrown around the idea of maybe going somewhere a little bit more central once she's done teaching. Right now with her coaching and teaching, obviously we have to stay in the district or close to it. I really want to have a little bit of acreage. I'm a big hunter. So I look constantly at the land for sale, and I think it would be cool to buy some land and then build not a crazy house on it, but something that's it doesn't have to be a super expensive house. I just like the idea of the kids being able to go out in the backyard someday and do science out there and find the bugs and find the different critters that are running around. So I want to be out in the country, but besides that, it doesn't really matter where in the state. That's kind of what makes the most sense. My job, I travel around the west side of the state. So really anywhere central to western Wisconsin makes sense, but there's opportunity to move to other parts of the state within the job too. So we're pretty open to anywhere in Wisconsin.
But only Wisconsin. We can't convince you to get out there and meet you in Arizona or what?
Well,
His words, not mine.
I would have to find a new job. I don't think with Jersey and with future kids, I would want to move away from either of our parents that far, because it's been pretty cool to see the relationships build with grandparents. That's been pretty awesome. So I don't think that I see Arizona in our near future, but maybe a neighboring state to Wisconsin would be about as far as we'd get.
Come hang out with Grandpa Cannon.
They don't want to hang out. They don't want to hang out with Uncle Abe and Cannon. Just drop liver.
No, that's cool though. Go ahead, Abe.
No, man, I'm just excited to sleep in your backyard one day. Coming up there for the summers and sleeping in a tent in your acreage, and teaching Jersey and your future kids how to play golf in the backyard. As long as I have like 50 yards to teach them, I can build you a green. You can do turf or grass, whatever you want. But how many do you want? Out of curiosity, do you want a full basketball team, or what's the headspace of that?
I think 4 or 5 is kind of what we're thinking now. I've said every time, and it stresses Haley out every time, but like I'm a religious person, so I think that God kind of lets you know. Like with my parents, they wanted more, but then my mom's pregnancy with my sister was a little bit tougher. So that was kind of my dad's thing. Like, hey, I'm not putting you through that again. We're going to be good with 2. So we say 4 to 5, but whatever happens. I don't think you can really for sure say at this point.
Sure.
Interesting.
And then another one of my last questions really is if money was not an issue, what do you think Mason Priebe would be doing right now?
If money was no issue, I'd probably be living on a crap ton of acreage, having both of us stay at home and teach our kids and hunt and fish all the time.
And it would still be in Wisconsin. It wouldn't be like in Montana or somewhere cool.
I guess if money was no issue, then I could move my parents and her parents out too. So yeah, then I'd probably go west because I really want to hunt elk. But yeah, that would be really if money was no issue. I don't see that one happening in the near future.
I mean, that was the question. I mean, if there was no issue, you just relocating everyone. Would you relocate me? Because I mean, I'd come up as well and hunt with you guys and hang out and whatever. But no, I think that's awesome. Again, I knew can I answer that question. It's good just confirmation that that's what you were truly thinking when your ambitions and if money was no issue aligned. That's good. It's a good sign.
Why,
you got anything else?
Why does Haley get to take work off? Why can't you be the stay-at-home dad? What's up with that?
Well, I like my job. I do.
You don't.
Not that she doesn't like hers.
Liar. You just said you'd quit.
Got me there. No, I think it's a little bit tougher to do that off of a teacher salary. I don't think you need to make $1 million a year, but teachers get kind of locked at a salary, and there's good ones out there. I wish they got paid for being better than others, but that's just not how teaching works. So I think it's a little bit more feasible for me in the private sector to be able to make a little bit more money.
Hypothetically speaking, if Haley was the breadwinner, let's just say she's like some genius professor at University of Madison, whatever, how would you feel about being the stay-at-home dad? Would that crush your ego? And you'd be like, oh, absolutely, put me at home. I'd love to be at home.
As long as we still get the acreage, that would be awesome. I would love being the stay-at-home dad.
Fair enough.
I kind of feel like that's awesome.
Yeah, screw the
Some
pride.
people can't do it. I had to ask. Some people can't do it.
No. Pride is no. It would be so fun to be home with your kids all the time. And you still get to hunt. You still get to fish. You get to do the things you like to do. You still get to play golf. I don't see anything wrong with it.
What? Another kind of just side note too. What's a perfect day? Lay out a perfect day for Mason Priebe in this time in life. What does it look like?
Oh man. I really got to think about this for a second. Get the perfect day.
Perfect day. You can pick the time of year as well. It doesn't have to be December 9th.
Okay. I would say early fall. Wake up in the morning. Haley and I got her into hunting this year. So Haley and I go hunting together. One of us shoots a giant buck. We come back, have Jersey help us track it. Once we get the deer, go out and enjoy the fall with the fam. Go jump in the leaf piles, do all those things. Like all the little outdoors, like family things are so fun when you have a little one. So enjoying some of that, pumpkin patch, something along those lines, and ending the night with a movie or something along those lines and just hanging out and kind of taking it in. I'd say that would be a pretty perfect day.
Calling BS on the calling BS on whether Haley or you shot it. I feel like you've got to have some preference of who actually shot it.
Okay, maybe we hunt in different stands and we both shoot a deer because I took her out and the first 2 or 3 times I hunted alongside her. I set up a crossbow for her so she could go out during archery season, and it was driving me nuts just the idea that there was open stands out there that we could both have an opportunity to shoot a deer, but we're limiting it to just one. So that lasted like 2-3 sits, and then I started hunting on my own, so I would still have a chance to shoot as well. So I was pretty selfish in that aspect.
Very patient of you.
Yeah.
Super patient.
Okay, maybe patient is not the word. Just describe me.
Baby steps. We're getting there.
Hey, you lasted three hunts, or 3 sits, so that's not bad.
I was a special ed teacher for 1.5 years. I feel like you have to have some level of patience if you're going to do that.
Well, you quit, so.
Yeah, you got me there. Got me
About a
there.
year and a half of patience. But I feel like don't you feed your deers out there? Don't you like bring them in inside the gates and inside the property and then wait?
No, there's no feeding. You can like if you want to put the work into it. We just lease a property right now, so we can't really put up food plots, but a lot of people do that. But that's full on like farming that you're doing. So
Yeah.
no like piles of corn around us.
Well,
Not yet.
I think one last thing for me. I don't know if Abe has any more, but you mentioned it at the beginning. You just got a new tattoo. You sent a picture. Everyone, look at the video now. This is what it looks like. Uh, you wanna give a little backstory to it? I see it has some wolves, some cubs, has a deer, big old maple leaf or whatever. That's not maple, but whatever leaf that is. What's the backstory behind that?
Yeah, so Cannon and I, that was one of the things that we connected on. We both really like animals. Wolves have been my favorite for a long time. I always wanted a wolf tat. I think the pack mentality is cool. I think how they do protect their cubs is cool. So that's kind of why there's cubs and then a wolf. The deer is pretty obvious after you've listened to me talk for a little bit. But then it's incomplete as of now. But by the time this comes out, about a month from now, I have the second appointment, and then there'll be a trout on the other side of my calf leading up to like a waterfall where a bear's eating a trout or salmon out of the water, and then a bison walking into the storm on the top, which some of them it's just because I like them. Some of them, like the bison walking in the storm, I kind of like that concept. I think it's a cool thing that they do. But yeah, just been
You wanna
something on my
give
brain.
everybody that concept?
What's that?
You wanna give everybody that concept?
Bison or buffalo are like one of the only animals that walk into the storm. So like they don't avoid the suck. They walk right into it. It makes it faster. They just deal with it. I think that's kind of a cool thing. Nice little thing that we can all learn from nature.
Cool, man. And how many cubs are on there? Is that significant of the amount of kids you want, or are you gonna have to add to that if you go over? Or you're saying 4 or 5 right now.
No, I mean my leg is only so big. And I gave the ideas to the tattoo artist. Shout out Jeff. He's great. But yeah, he created a idea or a drawing off of the few ideas that I gave him, and it ended up being pretty awesome. So I gave him a little freedom with the rest of it.
Did you take any like Advil or anything like for the 8-hour process it took the other day to tattoo that thing on your leg, or did you just raw dog that thing and said, "Hey, I'm just gonna eat it"?
You know, hindsight, that sounds like a great idea, Abe. I wish I would have. And I think every guy has this like thing where you're like, oh, I have a good pain tolerance. I'll be fine. And you find out pretty quickly whether you do or don't. And I think it was like the first 4 hours, lower leg was totally fine. Didn't hurt. I was on my phone doing whatever, watching some football. He got to my knee and the back of my knee. And I don't know what it was about those parts, but that's where it got a little bit rough. And then after that, it was just, it all hurt. But made it through, did 8 hours. And the only tattoo I have otherwise is a little cross on my forearm. So it was a big jump up from that one. So I was happy with that. And if we can finish the other one off and one more appointment, that would be a big win.
I don't take a lot of Advil, but I have a feeling I would take Advil before I got there. Like I would be like, "Hey, I've got to sit in this. I got to lay down this thing." I would overdose in Advil. I'd be like, "Hey, put me to sleep. Put me to sleep. I'm not doing that." 8 hours.
Yeah, I told you before that I'm not much of a planner. So me thinking about that prior was not something on my brain. I used all of my planning brain on the proposal the day before, and now I'm kind of checked out for the rest of the year because planning's, yeah, just not for me. So maybe next time it'll be the start of the new year. So maybe I'll have a little bit more planning in my brain, and then I can take some Advil or ibuprofen or something. That sounds like a great idea.
Good thing I'm planning Jersey's golf schedule. You got to start scoping out the Wisconsin Junior League.
Well, it sounds like you have quite a few plans on your timeline. You know, you want to get Jersey out of school. You want to get into jobs and move houses. So you got a lot of things down your pipe. Oh.
Pause.
And yeah, that's it.
Cannon,
Hey,
it
there's
sounds
gonna
like
be
you
a
have a
lot
lot
of
of things
cutting
down
here.
your pipe too.